Next up, we have a keynote statement for you from Pierce O'Donoghue, Director for Future Networks at the European Commission's DG Connect.
Good morning, and thank you very much. And I'd like to start by saying simply congratulations on the approval of the Code of Conduct and the formal accreditation of Scope Europe as the monitoring body yesterday. Together also, we had the approval of the CISPE Code of Conduct at the same time. And those are important achievements, and they're the reward of 7 years of work, as has already been explained to us, which means that today is a special moment. It was great to hear from Nelly Cruz, my former boss, who started this process, as Agnieszka also said, in relation to the cloud strategy and then the European Cloud Partnership, whose steering board, led by President Ilves, drew up the Trusted Cloud Europe report. And that has been, or was, the blueprint for the Commission in advancing cloud development over the subsequent years. So we really have to admire the stamina and perseverance. Yes, it has taken longer than we thought, but since then, the self-regulatory process has shown that notwithstanding some teething issues, it can really fulfill the purpose that we have set for it and ensure that industry is at the heart of self-regulation rather than us, the Commission or others, trying to engage in detailed regulation of what is a dynamic technology and a dynamic industry, very important for the European digital economy today. So there have been many challenging obstacles, both from a regulatory point of view and from an industrial perspective along the way. And of course, a lot of things have changed, including the technology itself. But data protection is and remains a key issue. Data protection is a fundamental right in the EU. And with the implementation of the GDPR, we have seen that it is important to have very careful work done to ensure that the principles of the GDPR can be translated into practical tools that are actually workable for industry in providing the level of data protection necessary in all of the digital technologies, which we have a will and a mandate to actually see rolled out. It shouldn't be seen as an obstacle. It should be seen as a quality mark which all operators in the European internal market must meet. And of course, those who gathered together in the Code of Conduct work showed that they were willing to take a lead in imposing a cost on themselves in order to ensure appropriate implementation of the GDPR in a very practical way in the cloud domain. So on that industrial cooperation, we are very supportive of the industrial actors who've come together to establish clear and firm market standards in data protection. So it's very important that we build from today's success and that you build the code and continue to broaden its support base among European industrial actors. Because we at the Commission are at the same time pushing out policies to integrate cloud to edge to 5G and IoT, which means that the computing services that the cloud providers are providing is actually essential for so much of the economic activity across all sectors of the economy. So it's growing in importance, and it's important that the industrial partners follow. We have had a regulatory approach building on self-regulation, and I do hope that we can continue to put that at the heart of the way that we deal with this technology. The two codes of conduct that were approved yesterday embody this approach, and we need the same approach on cloud security. We need the same approach on portability, and the SWIPE Code of Conduct, which again grew out from that initial process that we have described in the past, is another very good example of this, or the development of the EU-level cloud security certification scheme, which is now going through its approval process with the European Cybersecurity Agency, ENISA. So this shows why it's so important, but it also indicates how the Data Protection Code of Conduct has led the way in how this industry should and can regulate itself, provide state-of-the-art protection to customers, provide assurance to governments, and also then avoid over-regulation, which is in all of our best interest. So it's a unique test case from that point of view. Of course, we are moving ahead, as I've said, with our own policy agenda, cloud, edge, the data economy, and that's all part of our digital decade communication. So we've looked back at the work that Nelly Cruz led in 2012 and 2014, but now we have to look forward to 2030, where the Commission has set a goal endorsed by the member states of deploying 10,000 edge nodes in the European Union, raising cloud adoption in European business to 75%. And we also need the significant investments to go with that on cloud and edge technologies, both under European financing instruments, but also coordinating the large-scale investments by member states, including under the Next Generation EU Fund. But that will have to be matched by investment by industry, and we hope to create a stable, transparent, and level playing field in Europe for all those who are prepared to meet Europe's standards with regard to data protection, security, and the rights of the consumer. So those are two further points that we will have to look at. There is a multiplicity of self-regulatory initiatives, but they all add value. Now, we want to avoid a situation in which they lead to more complexity for cloud users and for cloud providers. And that is why the Commission will publish in mid-2022 an EU cloud rulebook. Now, this does not mean that we are replacing the work done. The codes of conduct, once they have been assessed in terms of their implementation to be robust, will, if they meet that test, be included in the cloud rulebook. So that way it'll be transparent both for users and providers as to what they need to do, but what they can do in an industry-friendly way in order to comply with their European regulations. We look forward to continuing to work with the industry on that rulebook and to see how the code of conduct can be taken up in the rulebook. On data protection in general, of course, we're faced with a number of issues, some of them global, which challenge the work even as you finish it. We have data anonymization technologies which are developing, but also quantum technologies which may overcome some of the cryptography. We have solicited or unsolicited transfer of EU data to third countries. We have the recent Schrems II ruling and its impact on transatlantic data transfers, for example. And then we have legislation in other countries outside of the European Union, which in some cases can put at risk the sovereignty and the security of European data, even if the operator is not acting through any ill intent, but is subject to third country jurisdiction, which obliges them to hand over data, sometimes without even notifying the data owner or the data subject. So there's a lot of issues out there, and we need to work with industry to continue to monitor them and to ensure that we have adapted to them. So we really are grateful that you've come this far. Thank you for your perseverance. As I've said, there's a challenging agenda to come, and we really do wish you the best for this important work stream, which we will follow with interest while we continue to work with you. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Piers O'Donoghue, Director for Future Networks at the European Commission's DG Connect there, highlighting the dynamism of the cloud data space and the changing nature of the data protection landscape. And later on, I hope that we will be able to talk a bit more about how today's code may evolve over time well into the future.